Will we know if he joins? Probably not. No.
Brianna, you'll be able to see.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
In just one moment. All right, we are good to go. We're being recorded on WebEx and we're also live on YouTube, so we can get started.
Thank you. So good morning, everyone. Happy New Year. Welcome to the first meeting of 2023 of the New York State DNA Subcommittee. Unfortunately, the November 18th meeting was canceled, but all the materials that were to be discussed during that meeting, as well as any documents received since then, will be presented today. And unfortunately, Dr. Weir was unable to attend today's meeting and has designated Dr. Gettings as chair in his place. So I will turn it over to you. Thank you.
Jill,
Before we begin,
yes. I apologize. I believe Dr. Bieber is in.
Okay, super. Thank you for letting us know.
Great. Before we begin, I'd like to welcome our new member, Dr. Kathleen Corrado, who will be representing the discipline of Laboratory Standards and Quality Assurance Regulation. Dr. Corrado is the Executive Director of the Forensic and National Security Sciences Institute at Syracuse University. So welcome. I will call the meeting to order with a roll call as we have members present in New York City and virtually. Please respond present when I call on you. Dr. Bieber. We can come back to him.
He is on audio according to text, so
okay.
Is he muted, Brianna?
Yes, I can unmute him 1 second.
Thank you.
Yes, Fred Bieber present on phone.
Okay, great. Dr. Smith?
Present.
Dr. Kidd?
Present.
Dr. Corrado?
Present.
Dr. Sozer?
Present.
Thank you. And including myself, we have established a quorum. But you were saying Dr. Bieber is not able to vote, right? So I won't call on him when we're voting?
Correct.
Is that correct? Okay, thank you. All right, you've all received a draft agenda for today's meeting. Is there any discussion regarding the agenda? All right, hearing none, do I have a motion to approve the agenda for this meeting?
So moved.
I have a motion from Dr. Smith. Do I have a second?
Second.
Dr. Sozer has seconded the motion. When I call on you, please state your vote. My vote is aye. Dr. Smith?
Aye.
Dr. Kidd?
Aye.
Dr. Corrado?
Aye.
Dr. Sozer?
Aye.
The motion carries. You've all received draft minutes of the August 5th, 2022 meeting. Is there any discussion regarding these minutes? All right, hearing none, do I have a motion to accept the minutes of the August 5th, 2022 meeting?
So moved.
I have a motion from Dr. Smith. Do I have a second?
So moved.
Dr. Kidd has seconded the motion. When I call on you, please state your vote. My vote is aye. Dr. Smith?
Aye.
Dr. Kidd?
Aye.
Dr. Corrado?
I will abstain.
Okay. Dr. Sozer?
Aye.
And that we have enough?
Still carry, yes.
Okay, the motion carries. Thank you. All right, under accreditation and laboratory updates. So first we have Erie County Central Police Forensics Services Forensic Laboratory. And this is a letter. It's for informational purposes. No vote is required, but we do have someone available if we'd like to speak with them. So in April 2022, the laboratory underwent a full reaccreditation assessment activity. This included an external QAS audit. There were no QAS findings. The laboratory has received confirmation from the FBI that based on the QAS audit conducted in April, the laboratory is in compliance with the external audit requirement and the FBI quality assurance standards. Is there any discussion or do we want to speak with them?
Congratulations.
Thanks. All right, next we have Monroe County Crime Laboratory. Similarly, for informational purposes, no vote is required. Also in April 2022, Monroe County underwent a full reaccreditation assessment activity, including an external QAS audit, no QAS findings. The laboratory has received confirmation from the FBI based on the QAS conducted in April that the laboratory is in compliance with the external audit requirements and the FBI's QAS. Again, is there any discussion, questions for the laboratory?
Congratulations to them too. Okay, that's great.
Thank you. right, so Nassau County Department of Forensic Services, and we have a series of documents here from the November meeting materials and also from the February meeting materials. So those are in two different files. So we have an assessment report, an external QAS audit report, letters of renewal of accreditation and receipt of those letters from the FBI. There's a revised QAS audit document here. So there's an original QAS audit document in our November binder, and then it looks like Nassau asked for some changes to that, and there are a revised document that was received as a separate file. Right? So they're available to speak with them if we'd like. So in October 2022, the laboratory underwent a full reaccreditation assessment activity. This included an external QAS audit. The laboratory received and remediated one non-DNA or biology-related finding. ANAB has issued the renewal of accreditation documents. There were no QAS findings. And the FBI has acknowledged receipt of the DNA QAS audit report from the laboratory. Is there any discussion that we'd like to speak with? Yes. Dr. Corrado.
Sorry, thank you. I just have, is anyone from Nassau available to, I just have one question about their
Yes.
QAS audit.
Yes, they are.
Yes.
Let me pull them up.
Good morning.
You're-
Hello? Hi.
We hear you, Pat. Go ahead. Yep,
Hi.
we hear you.
Okay, great. Good morning.
Good morning, Pat. It's Kathy Corrado here. How are you?
Good. Congratulations.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I just had a quick question. Not that there's anything wrong with the audit. I just was, for informational purposes, curious because I noticed it in your audit and in another lab's audit. For standard 9.10.7, which is, does the lab have criteria for source attribution declarations when applicable? I noticed that it was marked yes. And so my question is just, does your lab report source attribution currently?
So and I'm trying to get to 9.1.
9.10.7.
In terms of source attribution, we no longer use the source attribution statement that we used in the past and the scientific certainty, but we do give a statement that does say that it is absolutely this person. But in April, we're going live with StarMix, so we're no longer going to be using that statement.
Okay, that was my question actually. So thank you.
Yeah, no, it goes away, and I wish I could say February 1st, but it's April 1st.
Okay, so once you're moving completely to StarMix and likelihood ratios, you will not use the source attribution statement anymore.
No, actually, we're not even using RMP anymore. We're using LRs for everything.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you.
Do we have any other, while we have Pat on the line, any other questions or comments for them?
No, I don't.
All right, thank you, Pat.
Okay. Have a great day. Stay warm.
All right, so on this, we do need to vote to issue a binding recommendation. So do I have a motion to issue a binding recommendation to the Commission on Forensic Science to renew the New York State accreditation of the Nassau County Office of the Medical Examiner, Division of Forensic Services, in the Division of Biology, in the discipline of biology, for the period concurrent with its ANAB accreditation to expire February 28th, 2027?
So moved.
I have a motion from Dr. Smith. Do I have a second?
I second.
Dr. Sozer has seconded the motion. When I call on you, please state your vote. My vote is aye. Dr. Smith?
Aye.
Dr. Kidd?
Aye.
Dr. Corrado?
Aye.
Dr. Sozer?
Aye.
Motion carries. Congratulations. All right, New York City OCME. We have, again, a series of documents. Some of these are in the old binder and some are in the new binder. So there's a timeline here, so we'll just take our time going through this, and we have them available to speak with us, but no votes are required. So in October 2022, the laboratory underwent a surveillance document review and had no findings. ANAB issued a continuation of accreditation based on the results of the assessment activity. Going back to November of 2021, the laboratory underwent a surveillance assessment. This included an external QAS audit, and there were no QAS findings. The laboratory had received confirmation from the FBI that based on the QAS audit conducted in November 2021, the laboratory is in compliance with the external audit requirement and the FBI's quality assurance standards. And it's my understanding that this is a document that wasn't submitted to OFS, and through the audit that OFS does annually, they realized that this document had not been submitted. So that's why we're seeing this now. In October and November of 2022, so moving forward to this past fall, the laboratory underwent an internal QAS audit. The laboratory had 2 findings regarding an individual who did not complete a proficiency test in the first half of 2022, but performed technical reviews on case files after his proficiency status expired, and multiple analysts who performed technical review in cases for which they did not have training in the tasks being reviewed. The laboratory has remediated these issues, and again, this was an internal audit. So would we like to speak with someone from OCME? Yep. Kathleen, would like to get them on the phone? Yep.
Yes, I
Okay.
have just 2 short questions. I promise I'm not doing this for everyone.
No, we appreciate it. It's good to get them on the phone.
Kira, we can hear you.
Okay, hi everyone.
Hi, hello.
I'm
How are
Kira
you,
McKay.
Kira? Hi, I'm Kathy Corrado. Nice to meet you, Kira.
Nice
I
to
just
meet you.
have 2 short questions for you. Similar to the previous lab that I asked the question, I noticed that in your QAS, you also, for standard 9.10.7, which is regarding source attribution, you also checked yes. So I was just wondering, is your lab still using source attribution, or have you switched to using only LRs?
Well, for all current testing, it is only LRs because we went online with StarMix in 2017 with Fusion. So the wording it remains in our manual for source attribution, just in the case of older cases that were done with Identifiler, if there were suspects submitted for them and they were compared to a previously determined profile, there is the chance that we could still use that source attribution.
Okay, that makes sense. Thank you. And one other quick question was, I noticed that a lot of the labs had included in their audit that they had done a performance check for the YHRD database, and I don't think I saw that in yours, and I thought maybe you're not using that. Do you use a different database, or is that the one you use for the YSTRs?
Good question. I believe that was part of our, I'm gonna have to check the documents, part of our validation for the PPY 23 on which database is to be used. I'm gonna have to check in our manual.
That makes sense, because I did see that you had done that validation, but I just didn't see the YHRD version 67 listed. But if it was done as part of that validation, that would make sense.
I believe that's what was done. I have to look this up here. Would I be able to look this up and then come back in a few minutes to address this question?
Yes, as long as the committee agrees. I mean, yes, that would be absolutely fine with me. I mean, I'm assuming it was done, and if it wasn't, assuming it will be done soon, I think that's sufficient.
Is that okay if we come back? Can she
Yes.
raise her hand or somehow let us know that she's ready? Okay. All right.
Okay, thanks
Thanks, Kira. We'll come back to you.
Okay, thanks.
So Brianna, just look for a hand raise from Kira, and then we can just have her speak up and address the question.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, so we'll move on to New York State Police Crime Laboratory. Sorry, is there any other discussion? I mean, we'll get her back, but any other discussion on OCME? Okay, revisit when she comes back. New York State Police Crime Laboratory, we have a couple of letters here regarding compliance with the FBI's QAS. These are in the old November binder. And this is for informational purposes. No vote is required, but they are available if we'd like to speak with them. In January, the laboratory underwent a full reaccreditation assessment activity, including an external QAS audit. There were no QAS findings. The laboratory has received confirmation from the FBI that based on the QAS audit conducted in January, the laboratory, including both casework and databank, is in compliance with the external audit requirement and the FBI's quality assurance standards. Do we have any questions or discussion for New York State? Dr. Smith, do you want to congratulate them?
Yes. Oh, yes. All right, wake me up. Yes, of course. Always to New York State. Congratulations out there.
All right. We have Onondaga County Center of Forensic Sciences. And so for this one, we have documents in the November binder, the February binder, and then the late document is also for Onondaga County. And we have them available. This is also for informational purposes. No vote is required. In September, the laboratory underwent a surveillance assessment with no findings. This included an external QAS audit. ANAB issued a continuation of accreditation based on the results of the assessment activity. There were no QAS findings. The laboratory has received confirmation from the FBI that based on the QAS audit conducted, the laboratory is in compliance with the external audit requirement and the FBI's quality assurance standards. Any discussion or questions for Onondaga County?
Again, congratulations all around. This is like a happy
Right?
meeting for all of
I
New
know,
York. Everybody's been busy.
Yes. All right. Anything else for Onondaga? Okay. Suffolk County Crime Laboratory. A few documents from the November binder. So in August 2022, the laboratory underwent a surveillance document review and had no findings. ANAB issued a continuation of accreditation based on the results of the assessment activity. In September and October, the laboratory performed an internal QAS audit and the laboratory had no findings. So any questions or discussion for Suffolk County? All right. And then lastly, we have Westchester County Division of Forensic Science. All of these documents are in the November binder. So in June of 2022, the laboratory underwent a surveillance assessment. They received one finding regarding the communication of the extent of CODIS searches. I think we saw this in our August meeting. The laboratory remediated the issue and submitted its objective evidence to ANAB. ANAB issued a continuation of accreditation based on the assessment activity. The surveillance assessment also included an external QAS audit. There were no QAS findings. The laboratory has submitted the documentation to the FBI for review. And I think we had a question in August, so I'd like to get them on the phone so we can just revisit we were asking if this had been communicated to the other laboratories. So I'd just like to hear that.
We have Lydia on the call.
Hi, Lydia,
yeah,
how are you doing?
Hi, everyone. Happy New Year. Jen Riley is going to be joining as well. She'll be answering the question. She's our quality manager.
Okay, thank you. So yeah, I
Okay.
just wanted to follow up from when we talked in August. We wanted to make sure that the other laboratories had received the same information or that this could be a potential finding. Was that communicated to the BioTwig or disseminated to the laboratories?
I would have to, I'd like Jen really did a lot of the coordinating. So if you could just give her a moment to
Of course.
join. Thank you.
I have another question if you want to do that while we're waiting, or I can wait till after.
Yes, please go ahead.
Thank you. Lydia, you may or may not know the answer to this, but I noticed in your QAS, like, again, I was comparing them between labs a little bit, and you did list the validation of the YHRD database, but the version that was listed in your QAS was 63, and everyone else was validating 67. And I didn't know if that was a typographical error or if maybe it was. And I also noticed you're using YMix version 4.3, so maybe that has to use a different version. So I just was wondering if you could answer that.
My technical leader is watching at work. while we have Jennifer answering some of the other questions, I'm going to have to reach out to her to see if she can join to answer your question.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Okay.
All right, it looks like we may have Jennifer Riley now.
Yes. I'm sorry, I had a problem connecting. I didn't hear the question.
Sure. So we, back in August, we had seen the finding that was received from your external QAS audit about the communication of the extent of CODIS searches. And at the time, we were wondering if this would be communicated to the other laboratories in New York. So this could be a potential finding so that they can look at their reporting procedures. So do you know if that was communicated to the other laboratories?
By the lead assessor?
No, by you all, or through the BioTwig, is what we were,
yes.
how we were thinking that would happen?
Sorry, yes. So I did communicate it with CODIS, since it had to do with CODIS. So the CODIS state administrator did reach out, and I did send her an email explaining what had happened.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
And it was also brought up at the BioTwig meeting.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Thanks, Julie. Yeah.
I just spoke with my tech lead, Alana Loriano, and she will be joining us shortly. She was watching via YouTube.
Thank you.
So there is a slight delay in YouTube, so she might not.
And Alana is actually the BioTwig rep as well, so
okay,
we could discuss that with her.
Do we have any information back from Kira yet, or no? No hand raised.
Yes, Kira is ready whenever.
Oh, perfect. Nice. Okay, so let's use our time wisely. Let's
jump
pop
back to Kira.
Pop back to Kira
For OCME. Similar question about YHRD, right?
Okay, let me get her back up.
Hi, I'm here with Craig O'Connor as well, our technical leader. I don't see the option for video. Wait, let's see. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with the video. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, office. Okay. So I consulted with Craig, and we have not done the performance check on the newer YHRD database, as we're using the standalone Y mixture tool, version 4.3, which, and then Craig, what?
Right. So we're just using the US YSCR database that's within YHRD. So that's what we use for our validation, since we're still using the YMix tool. We have not moved on to using the statistical tools that are within YHRD.
Okay, thank you. That answered my question. I appreciate that.
Hope to, but we just haven't gotten there yet. Thanks.
Thank you.
All right, is that all we have for OCME? Okay.
Thank you.
So we're waiting for Westchester technical leader to connect, is that right?
Alana.
Okay.
Bree, if you see Alana on the guest list, you could elevate her.
No sign yet.
She texted me that it's taking a while to load.
We are having lots of technology gremlins today.
We could do the old business updates because they're
Well,
fairly.
just let me know when she's on, and you can cut me off at any time, honest, or you can just skip me altogether. I'm totally.
She just.
Oh, she's on. Dang it!
Off the hook.
You can just skip me altogether.
You're unmuted, Alana.
Hi, good morning.
Morning. Morning. So I'm not, if you were watching, you heard the question, is that, or do you need us to repeat the question?
Do you mind repeating the question? I do apologize. I had the YouTube up and then I was trying to get the WebEx at the same time.
Sure thing. Dr. Corrado, you want to?
Yes, sure. Hi, Alana. My question is, on your QAS audit, I noticed that when they list the different software that has a performance check, I saw that you had listed the YHRD version 63. And I believe it also listed that you use that with YMix version 4.3. And I just was wondering, I just wanted to verify that it was version 63 that you did the performance check, because all the other labs seem to be checking version 67. So I wanted to just be sure that that wasn't a typo, or if it was actually meant to be a different version.
It's actually, at the time, it's actually version 64. I believe the difference at the time between version 63 and 64, there was no changes to the US YSTR database, which is what we use within YHRD. So currently we're using 4.3 of YMix, which has the version R64 of the US YSTR database within YHRD.
Okay, thank you so much. I appreciate you looking that up and getting the answer for us.
No problem. Thank you so much for being patient while I get the WebEx loaded.
Okay, do we have anything else for Westchester County? We have all of them with us. All right, thank you all.
Thank you. Sorry
Okay.
for all of the back and forth.
Oh, no worries. Thank you.
Thanks, Lydia.
Yep.
All right, so moving on to old business, the partial match update. At this time, Dr. Dooley, will you give us an update regarding the partial match program?
Sure, it's exciting news. There's no updates. So there you go. Same numbers as has been in previous meetings. And I know next we'll do familial search, so I'll just jump right into that. And so, as many of you know, the familial search program continues to be on a status of pause. We are waiting to be put on the schedule for a hearing of the appeal. So we did not make the February calendar. Hopefully we will make the March calendar for that to be heard, and then a decision hopefully soon thereafter.
I'm going to cut you off, but I don't know if you are aware that the District Attorneys Association also submitted a brief supporting our position.
Is that brief available?
I can find out.
Would you mind?
Yes.
I'd like to read it. I think that's, I'd like to follow along, I guess, if that's possible.
I'll see all of the briefs. Which ones? All of them that are available.
Yeah, that'd be great. Or if there's a link or something you could share with us, so you don't have to, whatever's appropriate for the forum.
So if this is on the calendar for March, do you expect a decision to be made at that time, or?
Usually it takes some time, May.
Okay.
A decision in May, hopefully.
Okay.
But because it's on pause, clearly no applications have been accepted or processed or anything. So everything just remains on hold.
So the labs are holding them in queue, presumably?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. No work's being done.
Right. Dr. Kidd, did you have a question?
Yeah, I was just going to say, yes, the briefs would be interesting.
I guess I have a general question. Does this affect them doing forensic genealogy or anything like that on cold cases? It's specifically designed to halt the familial searching as written in the policy.
Right, just familial searching.
Okay.
All right, anything else on familial search? Partial match? Okay, we'll move on to CODIS bulletins. It's my understanding that Tom Leach has notified OFS that there are no relevant CODIS bulletins at this time. So, new business. In the November binder, we have our annual CODIS security audit. Dr. Dooley, can you give us an update regarding the 2022 CODIS audit memo?
Sure. So as required by the regs, we are to notify the DNA subcommittee of our annual CODIS audit that was conducted, and we did that via a document review in 2022 for all of the DNA labs. There were no issues found with any of the laboratories, and so we are just notifying you as such.
And then similarly, the 2022 annual laboratory summary. Dr. Dooley, can you give us an update regarding this?
Sure. So in your materials, you all have the annual lab summaries, which capture all of the disclosures and documents that were submitted by the laboratories in 2022 that came before you on the DNA subcommittee. It's a lovely spreadsheet that my staff has put together, and the labs sign off on it. And we maintain the documents associated with these items in our office. Does anyone have any questions?
So that's the time at which you find when someone hasn't submitted a document that you were expecting.
Correct, and that's how that one informational item did come up. That's how we were able to check that. It's a good checks and balance for all parties involved.
So is this, I just have a question because I loved it actually. I thought it was a great little timeline for everybody. And that's a document you have put together to fulfill a requirement or just a reporting requirement to us or just good practices?
Yes.
It fulfills requirement in our regs that the labs maintain their compliance with their external accrediting body. And in doing such, these things also need to pass through you or the commission, depending on the discipline. So this is a snapshot of all of the really important things. Of course, there's other communications, like where do you go for dinner with the lead assessor and the lab, but don't make it here, but they're required to make sure that we're communicated along with that so that we kind of have a idea of where people are in their processes, but this is what you see in the high level important components of their compliance.
Great.
Yep.
We use this as an internal control as well in our office, just to make sure that whatever we are getting in for correspondence in our shared mailbox is appropriately documented. So that's why we use this lovely spreadsheet.
And then you give it to us annually?
Yes.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yep. Okay. So it's a summary of January 1 through December.
Great.
All right, any other questions or discussion about that? All right, this is also from the new binder, the video conferencing policy. Ms. Harvin, can you give us an update regarding the video conferencing policy for open meetings?
Sure, but before I do that, I just want to mention, in her 2023 State of the State address, Governor Hochul discussed a proposal to allow DNA samples from recovered firearms that are currently not uploaded or compared in the database to generate potential matches or hits for investigative purposes. As you may be aware, currently we contain profiles from crime scene evidence in our forensics index. We have the convicted offender profiles in that convicted offender index, which contains profiles for those convicted of DNA qualifying offenses. We also have the unidentified human remains index, and we have the subject index for those individuals, for example, who may have submitted DNA pursuant to a plea agreement. This is still under consideration and legal review, but I wanted to bring it to your attention because this may be brought before the DNA subcommittee and the commission in the future.
So can you explain a little what's going to go in here? Profiles
from firearms from a crime scene.
So they don't consider those going in as a crime scene?
We're still discussing.
Oh, I see. Okay, that was.
They could be recovered, but not necessarily implicated or have any connection to the crime, but recovered from the location. Maybe that's what we're talking about.
We're in discussion.
Okay,
that's what it is.
Okay.
But yes,
okay.
Recovered from
somebody giving it to you or something. Okay, that'll be interesting.
I know Colleen's on the phone. I don't know if she wanted to add anything. No.
She's smiling.
Morning, everyone. Yeah, I think there are a lot of, we want to make sure we consider all the, all the instances before we have an opinion about the best way to proceed.
Gotcha.
Because I think there are a lot of different fact patterns that might apply.
Yeah, right. Do you have a red flag laws here?
Sorry?
The red flag rule where somebody's in their home, they're worried about them, please come get their firearm, that kind of legislation or regs here in New York?
Yeah, we do.
Okay.
We do have a red flag law in New York. It's from, it was enacted in 2019 and then recently amended to include some new potential petitioners. So it's being used currently in New York.
And can labs process those firearms?
Well, I do not. It's a civil proceeding, and any firearms, rifles or shotguns that are turned over, or not, they're surrendered for a temporary basis. They're not given up entirely, necessarily.
Right. So, yeah, and I was just curious if you processed them at all, but.
I believe they're just held in storage for the pendency of the order.
Great, thank you.
I can speak to when I was lab director in Onondaga. We did not process those because, as was just stated, they were surrendered. It would only be if they were confiscated for another reason that we would process them.
Okay. And then the video conference.
Sure. On April 9th, 2022, Governor Hochul signed Chapter 56 of the laws of 2022, which amended the open meetings law to make the permanent use of video conferencing by public bodies to allow them to conduct their open meetings by video conferencing under extraordinary circumstances, regardless of whether we have an emergency declaration. This is different from the previous or the current laws. Is right now, if you decide to attend remotely, you have to provide your location for the public to attend. This new provision would allow you to do so. You can attend remotely and not allow the public to attend where you are under extraordinary circumstances. So the subcommittee wants to take advantage of this. You have to have a public hearing and adopt a resolution. And so that's why we are having this public hearing today. I don't know if we have anyone here who wishes to testify. It doesn't look like it. I don't believe we received any written comments. Did we receive anything coming?
No comments.
Okay. So seeing no comments, hearing no comments, I will also double check when I get back to the office just to make sure nothing came in. So that's it. That concludes our public hearing for today. Right.
All right. The next item on the agenda is executive session. Do I have a motion to go into an executive session to discuss matters relating to a current investigation or matters that may lead to the appointment, promotion, demotion, discipline, or suspension of a particular person?
So moved.
All right. Dr. Smith has made a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
And Dr. Kidd has seconded the motion. When I call on you, please state your vote. My vote is aye. Dr. Smith?
Aye.
Dr. Kidd?
Aye.
Dr. Corrado?
Aye.
Dr. Sozer?
Aye.
All right, the motion carries. At this point, if you are not a subcommittee member or staff, you'll be expelled from the virtual meeting and the streaming will be paused. The stream will resume when the executive session has ended.
Dr. Bieber, stay on.
Okay.
Okay, we are good to go. We are now being recorded on WebEx and we are live on YouTube.
And we're unmuted.
All right, great. Thank you. So we're all set.
Okay. So the next meeting of the subcommittee will be May 12th, 2023. At this point, do I have a motion to...
Oh, I'm sorry. I meant to say that there were no votes in executive session.
I thought we were missing something. Okay. All right. So May 12th, 2023 is the next meeting. At this point, do I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So moved.
I have a motion from Dr. Smith. Do I have a second?
Second.
Dr. Sozer has seconded the motion. When I call on you, please state your vote. My vote is aye. Dr. Smith?
Aye.
Dr. Kidd?
Aye.
Dr. Corrado?
Aye.
Dr. Sozer?
Aye.
All right, the motion carries, and that closes our meeting.
All right, thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Dr. Corrado.
Thank you, Dr. Bieber.
Hope to see everyone in
Bye-bye.
person next time.
Bye.
Have a good day, everyone.